What's happening? Curious youngsters strolling through the universe of Pixar, we come across The Incredibles, an idea not very original since they are simply superheroes fighting against evil. Disney and Pixar have seemingly brought it to the big screen in the best way possible. Because every time I watch a clip or a scene from this movie, I start to cry, like when she tells me she doesn't love me. The scene shifts from the kitten in the tree to the boy. It's a notable transition. The movie seems to have a normal plot, but if it were something basic, without any Easter egg or possible crazy theory, it wouldn't be a Pixar movie. From villains eliminated by the government, through hidden superpowers, to infidelity situations of the incredible family, which end up being very important to the plot. These 10 incredible stories will ruin your childhood for many reasons. 1. The government was plotting with Syndrome to eliminate all the superheroes. If we pay attention in the plot of The Incredibles, certain government agents appear whose job was to monitor the superheroes, while they were retired to ensure that they did not reveal themselves to the citizens. They run the relocation program, and when Mr. Incredible throws his boss through several walls, his agent offers him relocation. He suggests erasing everyone's memory similar to the Men in Black movies. So if their job is to watch the superheroes to avoid situations like that, how is it possible they knew nothing about the disappearance of the various superheroes towards Syndrome's island unless they were collaborating with or tolerating his experiments? Eliminating him meant that the government didn't have to spend a fortune to protect them and clean up their mistakes. And in return, Syndrome was doing very good business with the government. As he tells Bob, he sells most of his inventions to the government. Edna killed Syndrome. Our super designer opposes the use of capes in superhero suits because it shows that they have always been a cause of death for our superheroes. From Thunderhead through Stratigale, Metaman, Dynagi, and Splashdown, they all died because of their capes, so the new suits for our superhero family in Frozone are going to be all capeless suits. But then, why would Syndrome have a cape? The theory suggests that Syndrome designed his suit with Edna, following all the steps of Mr. Incredible. And that's when she sabotaged him and added a cape to his suit with the intention of killing him. In the movie's ending, Bob throws a car at a ship, getting sucked into its turbine. Also, Violet is Helen's daughter, but not Bob's. If we pay attention to the visual details that this spectacular Disney movie gives us, we can see that Bob, like Dash, are blonde, while Helen is red-haired and Shock is half red-haired and blonde, which shows a great mix between the two parents. On the other hand, Violet being brunette could be normal, but if it's in this video, there's likely a hidden meaning behind it, a detail that reveals an Easter egg. First of all, we have to make it clear that Violet is the couple's first child, and since the family moves constantly, due to Bob's difficulty in maintaining a stable job, it would have been difficult for Helen to have an extramarital partner, that is, a lover. So perhaps before moving again, she could have had a last relationship with Snoop, and from there, Violet would have come. Also, Helen has a picture of Snug and her in her room next to the family photo. While we don't see any pictures of Bob with any of his former colleagues, finally, we can see that Violet acts oddly within the family, as though she is uncomfortable in that home. The children are energetic, but she's always in a bad mood. However, not to only criticize Helen, there are also several scenes that involve Bob and a possible relationship with Mirage. Edna Mode, our superhero fashion designer, could be a villain, although it seems she would just be a simple designer. A superhero fashion designer, that is. It's something that only seems normal because we're watching The Incredibles. A question that our crazy writers pose. That Edna meets 5 points to be considered a possible villain. First, Edna has a strong belief in not looking back, and this could be due to leaving her evil days behind. Then she seems to be overly eager to see heroes in danger witnessing such dangerous battles. Also, her small mansion is equipped with automatic turrets, explosive flamethrowers, and is surrounded by a large laser gate with guards and great technology. On the other hand, she appears to greatly despise her guards, possibly because they are government personnel and not her own. She also made a suit for Jack-Jack, although the Incredibles never thought about one for the baby. Edna accurately predicted that Syndrome would target Jack-Jack because she thinks like a villain. Jack-Jack is no ordinary baby. As we know from the end of The Incredibles 1, the cut of Jack Jack's attack in The Incredibles 2. We find that Jack, his superpowers grow with each appearance. Like levitation, teleportation, being a human torch, turning into a furious monster, and transforming into steel. Although our little superhero has numerous powers, he's not truly omnipotent. But in reality, his powers are still developing, and that's why they mix and manifest all together. Over time, his powers should concentrate and specify, just like the rest of his family. All the other family members have a power that suits their personality. Dash is impatient and impulsive and ends up having super speed. Violet is shy and defensive, and she gets invisibility and force fields. Can the same arguments be made for the rest of the family? And I think that when each of them began to develop their powers, their bodies could test a full range of powers before focusing on developing the one that worked best for each individual. 6. As I mentioned, Edna Mode isn't just a dressmaker. She spent her entire career working with superheroes, creating their super suits using super fabric and super machines. Yes, everything is super. It's possible that every superhero who requests a suit does so based on their abilities. It's also possible she knows he's a superhero, even if he hides it. So, what is Edna's power? She can seemingly detect a superhero in front of a normal person without seeing their power. Or that he tells her, for example, when she shows Elastica the new suits. She had everything detailed according to the family's powers. Okay, everyone's powers. She already knew, but what happened with Jack? The parents didn't yet know his powers, but Edna did. So the suit was prepared to resist Jack's fire and metal. And that's how we see him turn into a human torch when Syndrome wants to kidnap him. 7. A slightly darker theory is that the government killed all the supervillains after the heroes were forced to retire. Because if we pay attention to the details given to us by the movie, at no point do we see any supervillains. That is, they are all normal humans. At the beginning, we encounter 2 thieves who are escaping from the police, and all they have to defend themselves are simply weapons. Then, when Edna tells Bob the reasons for not putting a cape on his supersuit, we realize that Blaze-Stone, before flying off with the missile, was simply fighting a man holding an explosive timer. Also, Bomb Voyage is a simple vault and safe thief who has bombs and a quite extravagant suit. But is he still a possible normal citizen? The Underminer is a mole-man-like character who possesses a giant drill and operates underground. But he really doesn't seem to have superpowers. The only one left is Syndrome, who might have the power of superintelligence, but he is also being supported by the government for the technology he develops. Whether Syndrome is a superhero or supervillain, as the power he has is intelligence. Early in the film, Buddy, aka Syndrome, reveals he lacks powers but makes up for it with his inventions. The inventions shown include rocket boots, numerous weapons, and highly advanced technology systems. Like the 0 point he uses to keep our Bob in the air, also small bombs, scout robots, and how can we forget about the Omni Droid? All these brilliant inventions make us think that Syndrome actually had a superpower, super intelligence. Could it be said that Syndrome wasn't really very smart because he made some really stupid mistakes, like letting the Incredibles live, using a cape, or underestimating the intelligence of his battle robot? However, I believe his mistakes stem more from arrogance than intelligence. In the Pixar universe, 9 Violet transforms into Boo from Monsters Incorporated. Sullivan is surprised by Boo's hiding skills during their game of hide-and-seek in the company locker room. And just like at the beginning of the movie when Sullivan first discovers Boo, he doesn't manage to see her until he turns around. So, according to some of the craziest conspiracy writers on the internet, maybe Boo can become invisible at certain times. In The Incredibles, Violet initially has difficulty using her powers when needed, especially around her crush. And what if we keep seeing coincidences or references? We know that the monsters from Monster Ring have specific children to scare. For Randall, the child he's tasked with scaring at night is Boo. Which makes us think that if Randall's ability is to camouflage and become invisible, maybe it's because Boo also has this ability. And so it's not so easy for him to scare her. 10. Bob and Helen. Besides their known powers, they can foresee the future or guess the abilities their children will possess. Since each child seems to be obviously named after their superpowers, Dash has super speed, so his name perfectly reflects his ability. Violet can disappear like the ultraviolet spectrum of light that humans can't see. Also in the movie, Violet can also create force fields that turn out to be yellow. Hey, no kidding, they're violet. Finally, Jack demonstrates his diverse potential abilities during Syndrome's abduction. So the name would make him a representation of something unique. Perhaps a different superhero with many powers should have that name. Let me greet the subscribers. First, a warm welcome to Joan Leal, who recently subscribed to the channel. Then, another big welcome greeting to Billie Eilish fan, who is also new. I will also greet Juan Merchan Cerron, who is always very active. Another big greeting for Nico, and then another big greeting for Golden Wee. Lastly, I greet Alejandro Mejias and send a big greeting to all of Venezuela. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. Please share the channel and video with your friends. We're growing more and more. Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Curiosity and click the bell to not miss any new videos. I'm Mr. Curiosity.